Chat GPT is a very infamous tool. It's AI, and a lot of people usually frown upon it. But the IB recently has kind of came up with their own policy regarding students using AI. And today we're going to be discussing how to use Chat GPT for educational purposes, which also kind of don't violate your academic honesty. So let's start off with that. I have many tips today, 8 to be exact, and I personally think Chat GPT, I'm an advocate for it. I genuinely think Chat GPT is a great tool, and if used wisely and properly without any misconduct, you can definitely use it to its maximum potential. So let's start off with tip number 1. You can use Chat GPT for concept exploration. So what I mean by that is Chat GPT can help to clarify complex concepts or topics that you're studying. It can also help you kind of give examples and real life examples as well of different things you're studying in your courses for the subject that you're studying. And this is such a great tool for deepening your understanding, because you can ask questions to Chat GPT based on exactly where you're lacking. And I feel like Chat GPT in a way is so much more helpful than just Google in general, because it gives you a very precise, tailored answer. But rather with Google, you have to kind of look around for it. So Chat GPT also helps save time. For example, I was studying for my economics exam and I was having some issues with a particular topic, quantitative easing, and I didn't understand what it was, and I asked ChatGPT to explain it to me, and it definitely helped, because you can even ask ChatGPT things like there's this concept, explain it in a manner that you're explaining it to maybe a 4-year-old, and it will for sure serve your purpose. So ChatGPT is so great for explorations and explanations on topics that you find challenging. Number 2, writing assistance. So instead of asking ChatGPT to write your essays or assignments for you directly, what you can do is you can use it for generating outlines, summaries, and also generating ideas. I personally think you can use ChatGPT for these things, but also paraphrase and write it in your own words and use it as just kind of an example. I, for one, am someone who likes to learn by example. If I have a particular, let's say I'm working on an extended essay and I have an extended essay in the subject I'm doing mine in, then I'll learn better because I know exactly what to do and how to phrase it, which would be, academically rich in vocabulary. So you can use ChatGPT for writing assistance, but again, don't copy paste, do rephrase, because that definitely won't be picked out in the plagiarism. Number 3, practice and feedback. I think this is so underrated, and this is such a good tool for you're practicing. In one of my episodes, in the IB resources episode that I have out, which is the first one, I discussed Revision Village and Revision Dojo, which are great platforms for practicing your concepts in the IB. But you can also use ChatGPT, because those platforms aren't necessarily free. You do have to pay for subscription, but ChatGPT, the standard version, I think the 3.5 one, it is standard and free. So you can use it by engaging ChatGPT in practice exercises such as language learning drills, math problems, or even coding challenges. ChatGPT just came out with this particular feature where you can insert an image. So if you're having an issue with a math problem, you can just attach the image and ask it to solve it for you with explanation step by step and break it down for you. That is so amazing for people who don't have tutors or aren't able to be in contact with their teachers for homework or just self practice. So I think this is such a great tool for just making sure you're not suffering with your practice, because ChatGPT can be used for a lot of things, and the more creative you are, the better it is. To continue the same point, after you're done with attempting the problem, you can also ask ChatGPT for feedback or explanations to improve your understanding. What you can do is, for the humanities subjects, for example, in psychology, you're writing an essay which is worth 22 marks. You can type it down, you can insert it into ChatGPT, and you can ask that according to the IBDP psychology syllabus, this much marker, give me feedback on where my writing could be lacking and what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing good, so I can focus on the both of them. So I think the more clever you are, the better it is. Also, I do want to clarify that Chat GPT is all about how you phrase the particular sentence that you're sending in, because the more precise and on point you are with it, the better results you're going to get. So definitely make sure that whenever you're typing down something in Chat GPT, you're using it to its max potential by ensuring that you're actually using the right vocabulary and the right sentence structure for whatever you're asking. Because sometimes, because it is AI and technology, at the end of the day, it can make those type of errors where you ask for something and it gives you something else. So this is, I think, a great tip to keep in mind. Number 4, research assistance, which I think ChatGPT is so useful for. When you're conducting research, you can use ChatGPT to brainstorm your keywords, find relevant sources, and also to explore different perspectives on a topic. That way you can have a more holistic approach for your IAs, your IOs, your personal project, your e-portfolios, and your extended essay as well. Although, keep in mind that you should always verify your information from reputable sources before using it in your academic work. And a way you can do this is, you can obviously copy paste that into Google, but that is a bit hectic. So instead of that, you can ask ChatGPT, for example, something like, give me the information on World War I and the Triple Alliance or whatever. And then you can also ask it to give you the sources where it's using that information from, because you have like the gist and the summary of what you asked by the ChatGPT AI tool, but it's also giving you the sources that it has used that information from, so that you can utilize that and source it in your essay or whatever you're researching on. So that is also a really good tip. Do ask, straight up, just ask ChatGPT for sources that it used. That is such a time saver. Number 5, critical thinking exercises. So challenge your Chat GPT with thought-provoking questions, or even logical puzzles to enhance your critical thinking skills, which I know sounds a bit weird, but what I mean is you can analyze its responses to identify any logical fallacies or any biases, and this will help you yourself with better understanding on your critical, just helps you evaluate things better with critical thinking. So what I think you could do this is, you could ask ChatGPT to give you a speech or something that's analyzed or not analyzed, and you can analyze it yourself, and then you can ask ChatGPT to analyze it and compare your work with ChatGPT's work. And that way you're also learning, because AI is supposed to give you perfect information. That's kind of what we perceive. I think it's so important to, whenever you're writing a prompt in ChatGPT, the thing that you send in, the request, you should always write something like, according to the IBDP curriculum or marking scheme for this subject, this paper. Always write that, because through those particular phrases and words, you're actually going to get the exact thing that you're looking for, because otherwise ChatGPT is just going to give you an analysis, but it won't be tailored to the IBDP requirement, and that is what you need. So that is such a very important thing to keep in mind. Number 6, a study buddy. So I know this sounds weird and kind of lonely too, that AI is a study buddy, but ChatGPT can, believe me, ChatGPT can be a great study buddy. It can help with you discussing course materials, in the sense not that you're chatting with ChatGPT. Oh, that's interesting, because its name is literally Chat. But anyways, you can review lecture notes, you can quiz yourself on key concepts, you can do things such as verbalizing what you've learned, and you can reinforce your understanding and retention of the material through the things such as quizzing yourself, the lecture notes. You can ask ChatGPT to make short notes for you. That's also so helpful. That is a bonus tip. Ask ChatGPT to make notes for you if you feel like your notes are lacking and you can't find good notes online. However, if you don't find good notes online, definitely go to Save My Exam. They have great notes for a lot of subjects that are the IB subjects. So Definitely check that out. But yeah, Chat GPT can definitely help you kind of, stay on top of your game in a way. Just help make sure that you're, you know, quizzing yourself right and you're getting the information properly. Tip number 7, programming assistance. So, if you're learning programming, which is a bit rather niche, you can still use ChatGPT to clarify your syntax, your troubleshoot errors, or explore different algorithms and coding techniques, because a lot of people are now going into computer sciences, and it's so important, make sure you have your code right. That's funny because people say the computer scientists will be probably replaced by ChatGPT, so that is kind of ironic. But still, you can ask ChatGPT for help, and you can just ask ChatGPT for help with your homework and your assignments in general. Again, paraphrase it. Do not copy paste, because that will count to your plagiarism. Definitely try to use ChatGPT as a tool to learn and understand, and whatever you put down on paper and on your document for your research, make sure that's what you have understood, because it should be in your own words, because everyone has a writing expression by default, and when you write things in your writing expression, you will understand them much better than a different writing style, because everyone has a particular code in their mind which helps them decipher things better. On to the last one, tip number 8, which is ethical considerations, which is so important and definitely the most important one so far, kind of, is ethical consideration of ChatGPT. You should always ensure that your use of ChatGPT aligns with academic honesty policies. If you do not know what those are in terms of the IB, you should ask your coordinator or your teachers or your principal for that, because they will most likely have it. You can also search it online. You can even ask ChatGPT to search it for you. But seriously, avoid asking ChatGPT to directly produce academic assignments or provide answers to exam questions. Instead, try to use it as a supplementary tool to enhance your learning experience, because that way you learn better. Although I feel like, even though what I'm going to say next is like contradictory, but I do think that ChatGPT, like if you write something, for example, for economics, you have a question for the 15 marker with real life examples, and you don't know which graph to use, you don't know which real life example to use, you can definitely ask ChatGPT to model down an answer based on the criteria for the question. And this way, you can also understand what a proper, well-structured 15 out of 15 marker response would look like, and you can ask ChatGPT for the do's and don'ts of that particular response, and it'll help you understand that information, the structure, and the way to write those questions even better. This is a huge tip for humanities students, because they have so much writing to do. Like, I have friends which take HL, econ, HL, psychology, and HL English, A language and literature, and all three of those you have to write so much in these papers, and I'm just like, how are you doing this? But seriously, this is such a time saver. You can also use ChatGPT for tips and tricks on particular subjects, how to score better in them. ChatGPT is a very, very versatile tool. It can be used for genuinely the greater good if you don't use it to just copy paste your assignments. But honestly, the more you use ChatGPT and understand that, I can use ChatGPT for this or that, it'll be so much helpful. Like, for example, for English language and literature, or any other language and literature, if you have a book and a play and you want to find similarities or differences between characters or quotes that you think would be really insightful in your essays, you can literally ask ChatGPT for them, because ChatGPT is going to get those out of the internet and just lay them out for you in a very organized manner. And again, you can ask ChatGPT to give you its sources where it used that information from, so you can double check for your own safety and for your own security that what you're using is valid. Because things like these help ChatGPT improve your learning efficiency, and it helps save so much time. So I genuinely think ChatGPT is like a godsend tool. Guys, use it, don't be scared of it, but go through the IB's policies, go through your own school's policies, and make sure that you're not plagiarizing. Paraphrase it, write it in your own words, and essentially use ChatGPT to understand the content rather than to use it as the content, because that is just not going to help your learning at the end of the day. Because as sad as it is, ChatGPT is not going to give your exams for you. I so wish it could, but you have to challenge yourself. So thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast episode. I hope these tips were genuinely insightful, because I truly am a big voucher for ChatGPT. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, again, if used right. So hopefully you guys won't plagiarize stuff, and hopefully these tips helped.